craziness, exciting games, down to the wire, and shakeup to the playoff scene. Joining us back, and I know he's a little under the weather. Now we are sort of quarantining. Jeff last week was quarantined with just one person with a sore throat. Now he is boxed in with two, as Coach K joins us here from the NFL sidelines here to the studio. Coach, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that you're feeling a little bit better, and I know you've weathered the storm. You coached in Buffalo for years, so I don't need to tell you anything that you haven't heard already, but glad you're back, and looking forward to talking a lot of football today.
It's great to be back, and the problem was when you get hoarse, which I've been along with this, the other wouldn't stop me from coming in, but when you can't talk, you can't. Doesn't do much to help your radio capability. So you just gotta weather it. By the way, this weekend and today, we could really do a 4 or 5 hour show today on all that happened. Just over this past weekend, the pairings now for the playoffs, UWF winning, and then what happened in the NFL and what happened in college football over the weekend. Just amazing weekend.
Well, we do, and we have Roll Tide Radio after this, so if you want to stick around, I'm sure Bama doesn't want to hear an hour right now that we can get to, but we will get to that, brought to you by Coronado Wholesale, coming up in the next hour. But tonight, there's just so much to talk about, and I want to start it off as a former NFL coach. Right now, we have a number of elite teams, and really, I would say Baltimore has separated themselves lately. However, the way San Francisco and New Orleans battled, and the way Baltimore battled with San Francisco the week before, those were warrior-type games. Coach, talk about that Saints and Niners game, because that was one of the best. We had the big screen, the movie projector at World of Beer watching it. It was a little overcast and raining, but I'm telling you, even though the Saints didn't win, they had locked a playoff spot. It just was such an epic showdown. Drew Brees did everything he could. Garoppolo, everything he did. George Kittle showed up. The big players, Michael Thomas, Jared Cook before he got hurt. Just, I would say there was more highlights in that play than the entire rest of all the games combined for the week. What a game it was.
What a great game it was. And it meant so much more than that, really, when you stop and think about it and you break down all the parts. You saw one of the great quarterbacks of all time play like you would expect him to play, Drew Brees. And then you saw a young guy come along and play like I felt all along that Garoppolo he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks, one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the next few years in the league. I think he's certainly in the top 7 or 8 right now, maybe more than that. He's a fine young quarterback, and we also had a chance to see what I consider from a coaching standpoint. An analogy to me would be like someone going to see a fine, full-piece symphony orchestra do a concert, or going to see the house band out at the beach do a concert, okay? What we saw with that game in New Orleans was the symphony orchestra. From a schematic standpoint, everything about it, delivery, the product, what you want to see in pro football, that's what you want to see. That's why people tune it in. That's why it's the most watched sporting event in this country and of all time. So you saw it. You had a chance to see it, and it was right there. What a great game. And it also highlighted what we're going to be seeing coming up now. Gosh, you talk about an overloaded conference. The NFC is overloaded with good football teams.
Well, if that was the symphony orchestra, the New England Patriots wide receiving corps would have been the guy that had too many shots of tequila and already had a bad voice in karaoke. Can we say that? Because I think that would be a fair assessment as well of what that disgrace I had to watch. And we will get to that and the embarrassment. I lost. I wanted to yell so badly, but my daughter was there, and I'm just always sweet and say "Go Saints" to her, and she wasn't. But at the same time, with the voice this week, it wasn't the best idea. But I like to watch that game and the frustration of watching that football game. Jeff Price joining us as well. You can hear him on the Sports Drive each and every afternoon. And Jeff, I know that as a Tennessee fan, congratulations, by the way. Big win, one step closer. You get Deshaun Watson and the always Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde Texans after they beat the Patriots and then turn around and get crushed by the Broncos. But just talk a little bit about that Saints game and what you saw. Did you feel like from that game we could make anything out of that it's going to be an incredible NFC championship type showdown? Because frankly, I think those two teams and Seattle, and then there's everybody else when it comes down to it. And Green Bay, just because Green Bay's defense and the overall team isn't there. But Jeff, did you see that as well?
Yeah, but the thing with Seattle is Seattle, to me, doesn't have the star power that you look at with the 49ers and the Saints. And it's not discrediting. I mean, Russell Wilson is an amazing quarterback, but it's he has Tyler Lockett, and then it's a bunch of guys that you may not know. Like DK Metcalf has jumped on the scene this year as a rookie, and he's a good rookie, but they're not as complete as these two teams. And when these two teams play the game the way they played yesterday, how do you not want to see that again? How do you not want to see that rematch? We were going into this game talking about both defenses. Remember, I said yesterday, I didn't know if the Saints somebody had to step up outside of Michael Thomas. Well, Traquan Smith and everybody else jumped on board. And when you look at Breeze versus Garoppolo, Coach, I agree with you. Garoppolo, people were kind of, they didn't know how to take him. It's his first full year, and they're like, yeah, well, he's going to drop off. He's only gotten better. And this team is only getting better.
Well, that's a great point, and I don't know why. I can't explain it. And I'm a former coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, and I cannot explain why people would not see Garoppolo. Look at what he's done since he played starting at New England. All he's done is win.
Yeah.
And listen, Belichick was sick to have to get rid of him. He felt that was his quarterback of the future. This kid's got talent. He's got a great arm. He's got a quick arm. He's got a sure delivery arm. He puts the ball on the money. He can find the windows. He can put it in there. He's got some football savvy about him. You can tell he knows where to go when he comes out of there. Just everything about him is top notch right now. I think he'll be one of the better top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league very shortly.
Yeah, and for the people that did not get to see the game, first off, you missed the thriller. It's a game, if it gets back, I bet it's going to be on the NFL Network again, or if you can, I'm sure YouTube, somebody has it. But watch the game because it is worth watching. If you're a football fan, it is worth watching. But to orchestrate a drive like he did, New Orleans, it used to be you had to outduel Drew Brees, but you knew the defense and Rob Ryan and his shenanigans, you would win. I mean, because they were terrible. Their defense is one of the best in the NFL. And to be able, in the dome, how loud it gets there, to be able to go on a 7-play, 63-yard drive and get them into the end zone in 53 seconds, that's what the legends do. And he did that in the biggest game, in a game that was not as important to the New Orleans Saints as it was to them. They get that win, and they go from, I know it's a mockery, but it's how the system's set up, but they go from having to play at a 6-7 Dallas Cowboy team on the road in a playoff spot to getting a home field now bye and the first overall seed in the playoffs. Yeah, that was huge. So it wasn't just to win. They now control their path of getting home field throughout and the number 1 seed because of that final drive. And for that, there really isn't more of a pressure moment. And hopefully it's a sign of a great game. Saints have been through enough. They've seen that. The call, the fake. The pass interference on the fake punt. Oh, man.
Strikes again.
It's that you could tell that ref knew he was in the danger zone, but it was the rule. It was the NFL rule.
Rule, it was well explained. And
they did not want they did not want to hear it, though. The boos and because everybody in their mama knew it was pass interference, but it's the rule. You can take the guy if you're in a punt formation. You can do that because
you can't have pass interference on punt formation.
Because they have to block, because you have to physically block somebody, and it's not fair to do that. But, oh, my goodness, that was the fans, after everything that's happened in that dome on pass interference, for that to be the moment, you could hear the refs like, everybody, I want to make this clear. He repeated himself like 4 times. It is the NFL rule on that situation. Coach, I want to get to a little congratulations as well for the UWF Argos. Can't say enough, but they'll travel now to Ferris State in the national semifinals, down to the Final Four now. as they were able to go out there and get a nice victory against Lenoir-Rhyne. This was a program that Lenoir-Rhyne was unbeaten. I mean, they've, once again, Wingate, 38-17. Valdosta State battling a team that had already beat him, number one in the nation, 38-35. And then Lenoir-Rhyne, 43-38. You can't say enough about what Coach Shinnick and the Argos have done.
Oh, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. No, there's not enough left to say. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. Now they're going up to some. This is going to be an abrupt change in climate and approach and everything else. So, be interesting to talk to him. We want to talk to him, have him on before they leave to go up there, which we're going to have to do that pretty soon because they may have to leave tomorrow to get up there.
And I want to make it clear to everybody out there as well that in this path to a title, they played against the number one overall team who was the defending national champions in Valdosta State. Ferris State is the team that has won 12 consecutive games, is undefeated this year, and their last loss was to Valdosta State in last year's national title game. So they're not getting a pathway where they get the luck of the draw. They are playing the champions every single year to get there, and they're going to their house and beating them sometimes convincingly. So what they're doing here is insanely remarkable again, and it's deja vu to something that people don't understand how tough it is to do what they're doing right now against established programs that have been crushing Division II for the last 20, 30 years. It's amazing, Coach. And, you know, your former player right there in Kerwin, I know was one of the guys that played for Coach, and now he is actually was the former coach at Valdosta State, correct?
Yes,
and
he's at South Florida.
He's at USF now, so I can't root for him. But I do. He is a guy that is, you know how good that program's been over the years. Lenoir-Rhyne as well has been a staple in Hickory.
Lenoir-Rhyne's been a great program over the years, yeah.
Coach, looking now at the college football playoff, there's so much to cover today, and we'll get to all of it. But these are the quick hitter headlines here. LSU gets the 1 seed, Ohio State the 2. And then you have Clemson 3, Oklahoma 4. We knew the 4 teams that were in once Utah lost to Oregon and once Oklahoma beat Baylor in overtime. And then Georgia lost LSU. It was clear-cut.
They got this right.
They got it right.
There's no reason to even debate it. They got it right. It fell into place for them, let's put it that way. There's not much you could mess up on this the way they've got it charted now for the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. LSU 1, Ohio State 2. Clemson 3, and now Oklahoma's lucky to get in there, but they're there.
Would you say that 3 of the 4 teams can all – they can, but, I mean, do you feel confident that there are 3 teams in this college football playoff that would be worthy of being a national champion?
Yes, I would say that, certainly at this point. The only question mark, and you have to say question mark now, they look good, and we know they've got some – firepower there, got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. We're going to see 2 future all-pro quarterbacks in this playoff system, and that's with Clemson and at LSU. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes, but you're right. I think they have 3 there. I think they've got them right this time. The only one that would be, if it came up a little skimpy, just a little skimpy, it would be Clemson, and they've got them rated 3, even though they're a favorite going into this first playoff game. But if you stop and think about it, who have they beaten compared to LSU and Ohio State? And you just can't put them any higher.
It's going to be exciting to see, and for the folks that are saying, you know what, I've seen some folks up north, and I get it. Look, Ohio State or LSU in the resume were worthy of a number 1, but LSU, you win the SEC, the vaunted schedule that you did. You won 5. Unlike, I saw the Illinois has more top 25 wins than Alabama, whatever way you want to slice it. Here's the deal with it, is if you look at right now what LSU did, they beat 5 top 10 teams. They played at Tech, not neutral site, folks, but at Texas, one of the most historic places there in the history of college football, and won that game. They ventured out to places you usually don't see. You see neutral site games, but they were in Austin in that game and won. And Texas isn't as good, but they still had a decent roster. At that point, they didn't know how bad they were. They were actually ranked in the top 10. an incredible run. Both are deserving, but they only had one spot, and I think it was the eye test. LSU beat a number 4 ranked team that was in the playoff on Saturday and dominated the game by more than 3 touchdowns. Ohio State was down by 14 at half and came back and convincingly won, but came back to beat a Wisconsin team outside of the top 10. I think that's it. I mean, I think both going into it, they were sitting back and saying, we want to see the eye test of who's going to get in, and LSU won that battle. So if you want to go straight up, it's that's the reason. If everything aside, that day they had to prove it, and I think LSU wins that. And it's hard to argue that. I would hope nobody's going to argue that point. You can argue resume schedules, but they both had their chance, and I think LSU proved it on Saturday more than Ohio State. But they're both deserving of a chance to win, and we'll see. Clemson a 1-point favorite though. Against Ohio State. Yeah. Now it's a 2. Okay.
Wow.
Look at that. Coming back for more. It's Talk Football with Coach K, former NFL coach, back up here as he is going to be breaking down more of the NFL week ahead. We'll look at some of the big bowl games and also go over our power rankings and tonight's Monday Night Football game, the return of a Manning. This is the Manning you want to see. It's all coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Welcome back to Sports View. Today's topic, game changers. Makes me think of Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Finally, a simple, efficient way to quote home insurance. Let's go to Colin, who will now try to say something.
Okay, first of all, are you kidding? Never in my life. Okay, when you see stuff like this, look, I'm not the only one who thinks this, although everybody says I am.
Well said, Colin. Well said.
Get right to the point with Home Quote Explorer. It's a game changer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
No matter what team or sport you love, connect with it all on SiriusXM. Hear ESPNU and more in your car, on your phone, and at home when you subscribe now with packages starting at $5 per month plus fees. Get closer to every major league with play-by-play, expert analysis, and even fantasy sports coverage. Plus, ad-free music, comedy, entertainment, news, and more. Connect with what matters on SiriusXM. Visit SiriusXM.com/listenESPN to learn more and subscribe. Channel lineup varies by package.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh, my gosh. That's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron.
He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You're out of your freaking mind, cowturd.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back. It is Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante alongside Jeff Price and the former NFL coach Kay Stevenson in here. As glad to have him back. And Coach, there's so many names as we're about to get to a couple things going around the NFL and in college football with coaching hirings. But I don't think any of these segments that we're about to have this sponsored by would be appropriate as we're about to talk Lane Kiffin and Baker Mayfield. So we'll just say we're about to get into some fun news. I guess that's so. Baker Mayfield, if you did not hear it over the week, talked about not the doctor, but Baker Mayfield talked about the injury to Odell and what he believes with his team coming back here for the next weeks ahead. And this is what he had to say after the victory against Cincinnati. That hopefully was a victory, or this press conference could have got a lot worse.
The drama is just drama. It continues to be that on the outside. Within our walls, we know exactly what we have, and we have a good relationship where it's very straight to the point. So I'm not worried about that.
Has he ever given you the sense that he doesn't want to be here?
No. He wants to win. I've said that over and over again, and that's not going to change, and he's not going to change who he is. He's Odell, and he's proud to be who he is, and he wants to win.
There's also news that he's considering having sports hernia surgery after the season. Can you tell how much that's bothered him and has affected him on the field?
Yeah, I'd say that, wasn't handled right. He's not able to run as well as he should be able to, as well as he knows, and that's frustrating for him. You can sense that's some of his frustration where that comes from. So it wasn't handled the right way in our training room. So it is what it is. And so his not 100% is still good enough for us.
But what do you mean? What was not handled right?
I think he could have been addressed earlier on.
You just, Coach, look, at any level, if Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Vince Lombardi came back as, back in his playing days as a ghost before he was the head coach. You just don't address that. And frankly, even as the training, Andy Reid is a man sometimes of simple words, but when he said, "I'm not a doctor," that was a better way to summarize what.
Well, Chad, just
Baker
to put the bottom, let's go right to the bottom line. No player or coach or administrator in that building, nobody should have made that announcement other than one of the medical staff. Now, period. But for a player, does this kid think he's now the owner of the football team? I mean, he is just that's so far beyond the pale. I can't imagine.
Well, he's on a commercial checking the lights and making sure the packages, like he owns the Brown Stadium. So I think he might have thought that, Coach. I don't know.
Maybe so. He's on more commercials now than I've ever seen for a guy.
6 and 7 quarterback.
I like the kid as an athlete, as a player, but boy, he needs to be quiet, shut up, and play. It's going to tell on him one day, big time.
This was I've heard a lot of his press conferences, and a lot of it was whining. And look, I'm an emotional person, so I've had moments. We all have had to think. No, okay, your mic's off. It's not. This wasn't on me. This is on Baker here. But when it comes down to what he did, to call out guys that are getting paid. Dr. Eric Nielsen, who worked at Andrews Institute, is one of our sponsors, and he's a guy he works with the Auburn Tigers. Like, these guys are the best of the best, talking to them. And imagine somebody on the Auburn Tigers, like a wide receiver, calling out like, "Yeah, you did a crappy job. This guy should have been on the field." Like, imagine that. Be like, who are you, a guy that probably isn't even doing your own homework and has a 1.7, and you're going to call out that guy? Like, Baker Mayfield had no place to do that. And, Jeff, I think that's the thing is, if he's ever going to get to that level in the pros, what he added from an Uber driver and all the hype that he got him an opportunity in college. Like, even right before the draft, tweeting out, "I'd love to be in South Beach," working his way up, the way he talked, that all got him to this level. But when you get to the pros, if you want to last long term, you've got to be a pro. And I don't think he's grown up yet with that yet. I don't think he's figured that out yet.
No, and listen, this is the same thing. We've talked about the Browns every single week, and they won the game against the Bengals. It wasn't pretty, but they won the game, and they're still in contention for the playoffs. And so we're thinking like, okay, here we go. At least the Browns won. all right, everything's going to start to figure itself out. They've got 2 of their next 3 games. They play the Cardinals, the Ravens, and the Bengals. So 2 of those 3 you should win. And like we said, you're still in contention, and we think we're going to be able to move on from this week. And it's always something. Like these guys in the locker room, they have to be tired of this. I mean, it's just the fact that you call people out like that is unbelievable.
Coach, I want to ask you because Freddie Kitchens seems to be his guy. I mean, they're friends in a way. Freddie's a younger guy. He sort of gets it. Baker helped Freddie get the job, so whether Freddie's going to say it or not, Freddie's always going to be a little on his side because he wasn't really fit out. If Baker's not there, Freddie Kitchens is never a head coach in the NFL. That's pretty clear. I think that's pretty clear. I know it was a decision, but I think Baker pushing them to be like, hey, I want this. You built the team around me. I want this. Enough of the chap, the yap, got into them where they got him in that situation. But what do you say? Because Freddie's also a no-nonsense kind of guy. He came from the Gene Stallings route. We talk to Coach Stallings every Wednesday, and he says, Freddie doesn't want him saying things like this. What do you think? What would you say in this locker room? Is it an individual conversation or is it a team conversation?
Well, this happened. This would have to be both. Number one, you'd have to have a private conversation with him, and I'll tell you, I won't put myself in any way in Freddie Kitchens' position right now. I can tell you this without getting into any detail. My response would be probably totally different than Kitchens, but it would stop, and they have to stop it. And they have to stop it now because it's like a disease. It's infectious within the football team. If he could say it, why can't somebody else have an opinion on any number of things within the organization and throw them under the bus? Well, Mayfield did it. Why are you looking at me? So it's got to be stopped. It's crazy. The football team can fall apart so easily. People don't understand how easily a football team can come apart if you don't stay on top of it. These types of things, you have to stay on top of them every day. Little things come up that the public doesn't know about that you have to correct to stay on top of.
A lot of coaching hirings over the weekend. There was Lane Kiffin made some buzz. I remember you gave, Lane as a little kid running around giving Monty Kiffin, his dad, his first job and being around the family and the stories of your wife babysitting him in the sidelines. And he still probably was crying, and now he still is over flags. But Lane Kiffin wins at FAU, and he's now the Ole Miss coach where good luck with that right now. You got players that literally piss games away on the sidelines with their penalties. Then you have Sam Pittman, who's the coach of Arkansas. Now, for the folks that don't know, he was the offensive line coach at Georgia, where if you're just going to base that on accolades of what you've built, he's built a monopoly. I mean, Georgia's offensive line can't get any better than what they are. So from just his job alone, you can't be better than coaching Georgia's offensive line. However, is he ready for the big time? Arkansas has been waiting for that question, it seems, for 20 years. Then you also have Eli Drinkwitz. Now, this guy isn't getting a lot of – people don't know him a lot, but he came from App State and did a heck of a job at App State this year. Appalachian State went 12-1 overall after the win this week against Lafayette. And then, obviously, Mike Norvell at Florida State. And we talked about it on Monday and said he was going to be the next coach. Had a few people saying, yes, Bob Stoops' name was out of the convo by then. But, Coach, out of all these hirings this week in college football, is there one that stands out as a great one and also the one that we'll talk about the most in Florida State with the young 38-year-old Mike Norvell?
Well, I like that one. I really do. I think this guy has he has their attention right now, and he's gathered that attention in a very mature leadership type way. And I think what he's done. Look, what he's done at Memphis, think about it, fellas. If you were going to be the head coach at a football team at a college, and let's just say, look back only a few years, they say you can go to Oklahoma, you can go to Alabama, or you can go to Memphis. My God, nobody would have been aiming for Memphis, believe me. But he went to Memphis, and he did a great job. I think it's a good hire, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job there. Lane will probably improve quite significantly what they're doing at Ole Miss. Nobody has had a bigger golden horseshoe to live with than Lane Kiffin. Can you imagine? Here's a kid who was given by Al Davis, head coach of the Raiders, which he absolutely wasn't ready for that by any stretch, head coach at Southern California, head coach at Tennessee, head coach at Florida Atlantic, and now head coach at Ole Miss. And he's probably just getting to the maturity age where he could be head coach at Appalachian State.
Was it been 3 at FAU? We knew when he signed that 10 years. I've never laughed so hard when the guy said he will finish those 10 years at FAU, and I just started cracking up. I said, I will bet you my life it's not 5. I mean, he's obviously using this as a platform. He's not – look, you can get a sweet tan there for a while, and it's a beautiful place to live in Boca. But please, you thought for 2 seconds he was going to, at that age, not stop when people were wanting him and his name was popping up on every list like Gruden's and Kelly's. And, yeah, he was going somewhere. But Ole Miss was one that I think it fit in. And let's be honest here with Ole Miss's program over the last 10 years. They don't mind throwing a couple extra Christmas trees after December 25th on that bonfire in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? They don't mind having a little more smoke as the neighbor is in there. So all I'm saying is Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, this might be a very good, harmonious, nice relationship that they have.
We'll see what happens.
We'll
I
see.
think he will improve immediately, give them some improvement there.
Yeah, he brings.
You like Lane Kiffin a lot, right?
I do. Well, I don't say it like that.
Well,
No, I do. I think it's a good hire for them because they need some energy in that program. And after what happened and everything, now he can recruit. Whether he's telling the truth or not, he can get guys at that program no matter how they do it. But I think he's matured a little bit. Now I say a little bit. There's still a long way to go. We still saw him this year at FAU. Tweeting pictures with the refs that were blind and they had the sticks after a game that they had lost, and he was talking about one of their games. It's like you just still can't do that. You're a coach. Like that's something a high school kid does.
Why'd you sort of you gave the 2 hands to me because I think I've done that tweet actually. But no, it's okay. It's all right.
But I think that it's a perfect opportunity for him to prove to people. He's back in the SEC. I told you about the video. His son, whenever his mom said, "Guess where we're going Monday? We're getting on a jet." And his son goes, "Where?" And they said, "We're going to Ole Miss." And he just ran around their little van and he started chanting SEC, SEC. So you see stuff like that, and it's good. And I hope he can bring that energy back to Ole Miss because we've missed Ole Miss being kind of a thorn in people's sides for the past few years.
Ole Miss is fun, and they they were the team that beat Alabama twice during that tenure, and Hugh Freeze was getting them going. Now he's got money, and people don't know the backstory to Liberty. Liberty's got sneaky money down there, and they just paid him a boatload of to get his medical bed, cut holes through press boxes, and wheel his medical bed in there for him to coach. So Hugh's going to be out for a little bit of time before he gets that next contract, and we forget about his cell phone records. But I think for Lane Kiffin, it's a good spot. Ole Miss, I think all the coaching hires that happened this week, it seems like it's the right fit. Mike Norvell, probably out of the 4 names, had the most deserving credits, meaning Memphis has been good in the American right there with UCF and some of those schools. And Scott Frost got the jump to Nebraska. Norvell gets the jump to Florida State. Huge job. He's done an incredible job at Memphis. They've been consistently at the top. They've sent guys like Peyton Lynch to the NFL. But I think, he wants that and he has that energy. But he has the energy for the levels where you could tell he's got some fire to him. He's gotten more grays, Coach, in the past 5 years. Look at his picks from when he was at Memphis to now when he was at Arizona State. In the last 4 years, he's 38. I had to double-check that because I'm 34 and I'm getting a couple grays here and there to have kids. But Coach, he's getting more grays over the last 3 years, and that means he's stressing out for the right because he's had those coming-to-Jesus moments with his team.
Yeah, I think he's going to do a good job at Florida State. I really do. I think he's obviously a good coach. Now, I've never coached with him. I've never really broken down what he does schematically, offensively, defensively, special teams. I just know this. I know that they historically have been able to move the football, put points on the board, and they know how to win. And for a school like Memphis to say that they know how to win, that's a heck of a bouquet.
He's done a great job, and at this point, we're just going to hope. And I guess here's one thing we all can agree on, right? It can't be as bad as Willie Taggart. Can we all just? I mean, he's coming in. It can't be. It can't be as bad. So I guess that's one positive step that we can take from this. This was Mike Norvell talking to Florida State. If we get it queued up, here we go. Let's go ahead and cue that back up.
State family, so very excited to be here. Absolutely appreciate the introduction and the welcome, and we got great days ahead of us. We need all of your support, and can't wait to shake all of your hands and see you out there in the very near future. And just so honored to be your head coach. Go Noles!
There he was, right there. Like I said, for a 38-year-old man, he's got a couple more grays coaching.
He does.
He does. He's aged a little, but that's what football will do. Coach, you wouldn't know anything about that. You only age a day in football, right? That's
right.
Coach O.J. Simpson, coming back for more right here. It's Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola on this Monday afternoon.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
No. This can't be it.
Mike, your team's in the lead. They just scored.
No, you don't understand. This is the last Cheez-It.
There's...
No, listen, I don't know what to do. The game's on. The score is close. There's plenty of drinks to go around. But what's the point if there's no Cheez-It snacks?
Man, if you would just...
The cheesy, crunchy, satisfying perfection. It's all gone after this. Thank you, my little delicious square.
Dude, there's more in the kitchen.
I love you.
You're still talking to the cracker, aren't you?
Cheez-It, official sponsor of the college football playoff.
Looking for a special something for that big and tall guy in your life? Here's a tip. Head to DXL, where you'll find hundreds of styles and designer brands guaranteed to fit and guaranteed to make him look great. Go to DXL.com to check out their new arrivals and sign up for exclusive offers. Need more ideas? Swing by a DXL store where one of their fit experts will help you choose the perfect gift. Easy, right? DXL Big and Tall. Built for giving at DXL.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. Indeed will also give you this sticky frog, which will suddenly leap and stick to the face of the perfect hire. Okay, there's no sticky frog. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire and try skills tests for free. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer.
Just think of all that great traffic jams on Davis Highway, all that fun times right now during the holidays. Happy holidays. If you're out and about on the roads, be safe right now. Everybody's in a rush, but better to come home safe to your families. And that person that cut me off on the bridge, it's 2-lane, and we're not going anywhere. So just want to call that person out as well in the white Toyota. You pick which model. I'm not going to go that far. Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Coach, over the weekend, there was a number of big games, number of big championships. Oklahoma wins in overtime against Baylor with that win. And the Heisman Trophy is one that usually over I'd say the last decade has been pretty much clear cut. Last year's was tough with Tua and Kyler, but most of them we usually knew who was going to win. I feel we all feel that way about Joe Burrow right now. But has Jalen Hurts and what he's done, because we never say the offense is why Oklahoma doesn't have a shot. It's because they don't play a lick of defense. Is Jalen Hurts a good enough quarterback to be able to, two-part question, should he be considered and get some votes for the Heisman? And second, is he going to be a guy that can play in the NFL as the game moves towards a Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, a lot more of these innovative quarterbacks that can run too as well, and not just pocket passers?
Well, that is there's a lot of supposition in that question. Okay, I don't know that the league is going to totally move that direction. Number one.
Yeah.
Should let's get the other part of the question.
They're opening up the door for more opportunities. I guess it is though.
Well,
I think.
Let's see how things work out.
Okay.
We've still got to see. We've still got to see how it works out when you get into the playoffs and other things happen. Okay. But does he deserve some votes for the Heisman? Listen, nobody has more respect for this kid than I do. I think the way he handled himself at Alabama was worth votes in the Heisman. He's just an unbelievable young man who really, really set the tone and tenor, I think, for college athletics. If they look back at what he did, what he gave up to stay in Alabama, and handle himself the way he did, I think is just admirable. Now, he's going to get some votes, but I think without question the Heisman Trophy winner is over at LSU.
Jameis Winston, another Heisman Trophy winner and a national champion, goes out there and I don't even know where to start. This is where, the old books as kids, they're called Choose Your Own Adventures. And you can go into the dark forest or go meet the princess, just based on the path you take. 456 yards and 4 touchdowns. You applaud and you go, oh my gosh. Jeff and I are also watching the beginning of the game yesterday, and he has 2 pick sixes he allows and 3 interceptions and 4 turnovers. It's, to me, they win the game 38-35. But Jameis, on one side, you could write the story of the Heisman, the god that he is, the way he played, or the guy that needs to be out of a job based on whatever path you want to take. And it seems like we're going down this. This was the best he has done in a while offensively. But, Coach, is he going to be good enough to come back next year and be the starting quarterback for such high praise? Because when him and Marcus Mariota were coming out of college at 1 and 2, it was pretty much those two were going to be legends, the way that people, and we know how people jump week in and week out on things, but it looks like they both, because of Ryan Tannehill and the extension he can have with Tennessee, it looks like there's a possibility both could be out of the league. But I think Jameis is doing enough personally that he's keeping his job for next year.
Well, it's tough to say right now. There'll be an awful lot of evaluation that'll be going on. You can't believe how much goes on in the off season, and they'll break down every play, really. I think there's a lot of disgust right now up there with his turnovers. I think he's been very close. They've been very close to putting him on the bench up there.
They did last year with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. And so anyway, I think that's a topic that's going to be discussed in the offseason.
Coach, Frank Reich, in the games, the Colts are having some injuries. You could tell. They're depleted in a lot of different areas, but, they've had a couple tough losses. What do you think from the Colts standpoint? Is it now down? Do they still at 6-7? Because they're not officially out. They can win out and still win that division because Houston has to play against Tennessee next week in a big game. But what do you think from the standpoint of – because I know you watch a lot of Colts football based on Frank being your former player and you guys talk a lot. He was on the show last week. But what's going through this Colts team? Because they were such a good defensive grinding team. In the last couple of weeks, it's looked a little different.
Well, I think like everything else in the NFL, people tend to catch up with you, and they've been just good enough because of the leadership, the coaching, got a good offensive line, and they've played on those things that they've been good at. They've been just good enough to get through some of these games and win them.
And they lost by 3 without T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
Without, you look at that. Their leading receiver, for anybody out there, the players that are out there, Marcus Johnson was their leading receiver. Now, half of you guys probably don't even know who that is. Marlon Mack, and then Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback. If you gave a lot of teams that, a bad coach that, you would think they'd be the Redskins. You'd think they'd be the Bengals. And he's got them right now still in the playoff hunt. And so he's done a phenomenal job with a bad roster this year. And if anything, kudos to him. Looking right now tonight, it's the Monday Night Football game. It is not the matchup. It's a rivalry. I guess that's a kind way to put it. But Eli Manning and the 2-10 New York Giants will take on a Philadelphia team that sadly, if they win this game and go to 6-7, will be tied for a spot to host the playoff game. In the playoffs coming up here, Coach, they're a 9.5-point favorite. They have still the players to get it done. Do you see this game being close, and what can we expect in Eli Manning's return from sitting out this long?
Well, I'm not as concerned about New York. I don't think that's really on the radar screen, Chad. To be honest with you, I guess there's some interest from some people, but the attention should be given to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they have to win this football game. It's an absolute must, and they need to rebound and win it convincingly, and establish themselves back defensively as well as being able to run the football. Now, those things have to happen, and they have to happen tonight for Philly. But if Philly does that, I'm still not dead on Philly. I think they're a good football team.
Yeah, and the thing is Philly plays, of course, the Giants tonight, the Redskins next week, then the huge matchup against the Cowboys, and the Giants again. Well, at this point, those are 4 very winnable games. I mean, but this team has got to get on track more than anything. I mean, you can win those 4 games and still look ugly. Listen, we don't know what the Eagles are, like the Cowboys. Like, the Eagles have a talented roster, but they haven't performed. And when you look at the Giants tonight, they're prime time. Everybody's going to be watching them. There's no better time than present. You're facing Eli Manning, for goodness sakes. I mean, if Eli Manning pulls the upset, I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose this game, you've proven to everybody, even if you get in, which we both believe right now at Dallas and Philly, even if you get in, you're wasting our time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. Everybody knows this is a do-or-die game, and if you go out there and get beat by a guy that's been sitting who expected to be retired, if Daniel Jones doesn't get an injury, he's already retired pretty much. Yeah, no, you have to win this football game. There's no, I mean.
Absolutely. It's not even close, so. We can forget about it.
Let's move on from there. Eli Manning, welcome back to our conversation piece here on there. Yeah, get out of the direct TV commercials. Hello and goodbye to that one right there. Coach, some of the other things happening right now in the NFL, we'll talk about that when we return on Talk Football with Coach K, with former NFL coach Kay Stevenson. Glad to have him back here inside the huddle as we break down all the biggest stories, college football playoff, bowl games, and more right here on this fun-filled Monday.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu, and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Cervantes Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Harley-Davidson of Pensacola is making their list and checking it twice, helping you find a Harley to ride this holiday season. This Christmas, Harley-Davidson wants to treat you to something special. Now through December 15th, buy a bike and get an Iron E. The Iron E is the perfect gift for kids who want to share their parents' love for riding. Plus, the whole family is invited to join Harley's Angels for Sunday Fun Day, December 15th, full of fun Christmas crafts. Christmas is here at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola. Let's ride.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. Indeed will also give you this sticky frog, which will suddenly leap and stick to the face of the perfect hire. Okay, there's no sticky frog. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire and try skills tests for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Welcome to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Pensacola's home to the best talk in sports, new and improved. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 and FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
And welcome back. It is Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Your home for football and also throat lozenges here on this. We are, Jeff's like, and he coughed today, and I'm like, uh-oh, you're coming down with a storm. Thank you, though. I'll get you a blanket. My wife got me a really nice, like, onesie, like a snuggle. I'll get you that for Christmas. I know you'll need it in a couple days when you get your antibiotics. But we're back. We're happy to be here with you guys and having some fun. And battling the storm, as many teams do at this point into the season when it gets close to the playoffs. Coach, look, they do it every single day on some of the shows around the nation when you talk about Max Kellerman, Stephen A., some of the guys. So are we ready to say, now that he's 2-0 and he had another 22 of 27, 309 yards, 3 touchdown performance, is Drew Lock, our conversation now, is Drew Lock an NFL Hall of Famer? Are we ready to make that case, as everybody has made that case, it seems?
I'm sure there's some people that have jumped on that bandwagon. It's absolutely amazing. And Max Kellerman, he is. Are
we ready at 2-0? Is he now the best quarterback of ever? Is Drew Lock the best quarterback in the history of the NFL? Are we ready?
He's the best one they've had in a while. We'll say that.
He's never lost a game, folks. He's never lost in his history of
Who
his
do they
NFL.
play next week?
He did something that Tom Brady couldn't do. He walked into Houston and got a victory.
Jeez.
Why not? I mean, it's.
Well, I'll tell you.
There's plenty of reasons why not.
But I thought we all saw it. Drew Lock had the type of game that he could fit the NFL style. I think we all
I'll
agree.
tell you, I liked what I saw.
Yeah,
you bet.
He's a good quarterback.
And he jumped back there. He was on time, and he got rid of the football and he put it on the spot.
I know every Georgia and Florida fan are happy not to see him in the SEC. I mean, honestly, he was competitive in every game he played at Missouri, and they would have liked to have him back, right, Kelly Bryan? But I'm telling you, it's going to be fun to see because he's won 2 games that they weren't supposed to win since he's been there. I want to get to more right now on the college football games that we saw over the weekend, and let's start off with the game, the LSU Tigers. This is a team that they knew they not only had to win to keep Georgia out, they also needed to win that game. To have the SEC title, that's a great thing to have. That's an honor. And then third, you win, and there's a good chance if you look great as you win, you're going to get the number 1 spot, which is pretty much, it was huge. It's never been bigger in a college football playoff because it was the difference between playing the defending national champions, who we knew was going to get the 3 spot in Clemson, or playing against a team that you were going to be favored by double digits. And that's exactly what happened when they went out, Coach, and beat Georgia by 27 points.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I am so impressed with this LSU football team. And let me tell you, they can say what they want to now about the LSU defense. Think about the last 2 ball games. Look what has happened and how they played. They really shut out a good Texas A&M team, and then they came on and virtually shut down a good Georgia team. I don't care what people say about Georgia. Georgia's better offensively than what you saw, because you got to give the credit to LSU. They played extremely well, and their quarterback, listen, he is a pro playing college football right now. He could be playing for a lot of NFL teams. I promise you, he's a good-looking quarterback.
I think all going to this game, we talked about great offense. Oh, well, Burrow hasn't faced that dynamic defense, and they're going to find out this week. Well, they found out that Burrow and that offense is the real deal. And we look at Georgia, and that's all we heard about was how great their defense was. And they're good. Don't get me wrong. This is not taking any credit away from them. They ran into a buzzsaw, which is the LSU Tigers right now. And the other part of that is, Coach, like you said, all we heard this year with LSU was, yeah, their offense is good, but they don't have a defense. Look, they're giving up 30-something points to Ole Miss. When this defense wants to get up and play, they showed against the Georgia Bulldogs that I believe they can take on anybody in the nation.
Yeah, this LSU football team, there's no question in my mind. Right now, they're the number 1 team in the country.
It's going to be exciting because all 3, and no offense to Oklahoma fans, they shouldn't. If Oklahoma fans actually watch their team play this year, they don't mind being left out of this conversation. But Clemson and Ohio State and also LSU, all 3 of these teams have done enough. Look, they all went undefeated, which is not easy to do. There's always seems to be a slip-up game. And all of them went unbeaten, and they did it, too, in style down the stretch. And Ohio State, even though they're not going to get the brownie points in the final score, the second half against Wisconsin, a game that Jeff remembers us driving back a little delirious from doing 3 parades and being out for a whole 12 hours and on a bunch of painkillers. But I remember sitting there and thinking, this can't be happening. Ohio State was down 14-0. I'm like, I've watched enough Ohio State football. They should destroy Wisconsin this game based on matchups. Wisconsin wants to run right through you. Coach, I want to bring this up because as a former coach, I know we only have a minute or so. Chase Young, did you see the play where he grabbed Jonathan Taylor back and pulled him?
Yes.
That kind of strength is the kind of strength that the NFL saw as well, and he's getting he already was looked at as the number 1 ranked player. That is insane strength to be able to do that to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he's got everything going for him. He'll be right at 1 or 2 players.
Do you think Jonathan Taylor? I saw enough from him and all season that he's going to be playing on Sundays and getting paid pretty well too as a running back.
Yeah, but he won't be picked as high as the quarterback or the kid from Ohio State.
No, he won't. Well, Coach, always enjoyed it. Glad to see you back here, and looking forward to catching up with you here on Roll Tide Radio. All right, for Coach Kay Stevenson, for Jeff Price, I'm Chad Brillante. Coming up, Roll Tide Radio, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. We'll break down Alabama's bowl game, and we'll talk some more with the former NFL coach. It's all coming back right here on ESPN Pensacola.
Football is here. Catch all the UWF Argos games and the big NFL games every Saturday and Sunday on Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. If you would like to be a part of ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000 or visit our website at ESPNpensacola.com.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
For your ESPN Pensacola Sports Update, I'm Jeff Price. In college football, the playoffs are set with number 1 LSU playing number 4 Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl, where LSU is a double-digit favorite in that game. The Fiesta Bowl will be number 2 Ohio State taking on number 3 Clemson. Clemson is also a 2-point favorite. For our local teams, Florida will be playing Virginia in the Orange Bowl. Alabama takes on Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Auburn plays Minnesota in the Outback Bowl. And Florida State will face Arizona State in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Yes, that's a real bowl. Over the weekend in Tallahassee, the Seminoles introduced Mike Norvell as head coach.
Florida State family, so very excited to be here. We got great days ahead of us. We need all of your support. Go Noles.
In the NFL, the Falcons beat the Panthers 40-20 behind Matt Ryan's 2 touchdowns. The Saints lose a heartbreaker to the 49ers despite Drew Brees' 5 touchdowns and Michael Thomas 11 receptions for 134 yards and a score. 49ers kicker Robbie Gould hit a game-winning 30-yard field goal as time expired, moving the 49ers to 11-2. The Saints dropped to 10-3 but have clinched the division already. The Patriots lost another close game to the Chiefs, 23-16, as they dropped to 10-3. The 3 losses, however, coming to the quarterbacks Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson, all who are under 25 years old. In the late game Sunday, the Rams got back on their winning ways, beating the Seahawks 28-12 in the Coliseum. In the NBA, LeBron and Anthony Davis continue their dominance as Davis dropped 50 points in the win against the Timberwolves, 142-125. The duo combined for 82 points and have the NBA's best record at 21-3. In our own backyard, the Escambia Gators will be taking on Miami Central this Thursday for the 6A State Championship at 7 p.m. in Daytona, Florida. For your ESPN Pensacola Sports Update, I'm Jeff Price.
I have a great idea for a Christmas gift for those hard-to-buy-for relatives. Kids are easy to buy for, but Mom, Dad, Grandma, and Grandpa are always a challenge. But Printers of Pensacola has the perfect gift. It's a 2020 calendar with your favorite family photos on it. For you, it's a very affordable gift. For the recipient, it's priceless. It's a gift they'll use every day, and they'll cherish it forever. I have given one of these calendars to my mom every Christmas since 1995, and she still has every one of them. These personalized calendars are easy to make. Just bring or send 12 pictures to Printers of Pensacola on Garden at E Street, and they'll do the rest. You'll get back the beautiful personalized color photo calendar, and you'll get your original pictures back too. They can use either prints or digital photos. Printers of Pensacola can also put your photos on personalized t-shirts. Give personalized Christmas gifts from Printers of Pensacola. Printers of Pensacola on Garden at E Street. Call 434-2588.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
ADX Communications now has a job opportunity for a qualified commercial production employee for Cat Country 98.7, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620, and WICT Christmas Radio 94.5. If you're creative, love working in a fast-paced, dynamic environment, and have audio production experience, we want to hear from you. Be a part of a locally owned and operated award-winning team. Send your info now to hr@adxc.com. That's hr@adxc.com. ADX Communications is an equal opportunity employer.
For the Crimson Tide, T-Town to your town, yeah, that's how it's going down.
And welcome back right here to ESPN Pensacola on ESPN Pensacola Roll Tide Radio Show. Having some fun with you on this Monday as we get things going, as the Alabama Crimson Tide getting set to go for the Citrus Bowl, as they will take on a team right now in Michigan who expected more. A lot of people, actually 83% of people out there had Alabama in the college football playoff when they took the poll at the beginning of the season. That's a high number for any team to make it in, but we've seen it before. That was according to ESPN Pensacola's right there in September when they took the preseason poll of them getting in. 83% of the country, even the haters out there, felt like, yeah, we can't leave them out. And Michigan was a team that also a lot of people expected to be there with Shea Patterson coming back one more year. There was a lot of question marks on Ohio State with Justin Fields, not really their roster, but a new head coach, a new quarterback, and sometimes that leads to problems. For Ohio State, it just led to more success this year. Joining us from the NFL sidelines, you can hear him on his show, Talk Football with Coach K. We just got done. Coach K. Stevenson sitting in with us here on the Roll Tide Radio Show, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. Coach, we're glad to be talking football, and thank you for staying around. And, Alabama, obviously disappointing season. And now you look back, though, with Oklahoma getting in that final spot. If they could have found a way, it hits the post, even with Mac Jones. I think they win that game against Auburn, and, now we're going back to the past. They didn't. But if they win that game, I think the committee would have put Alabama in that Final Four spot if they would have won.
I don't think there's any question about it at all. Look, this Alabama football team in this year, and ifs and ands and buts and could-haves and would-haves and should-haves, I understand that. I hate it like everybody else. But I really think you got to take a close look. This football team, Chad, could have very easily been undefeated and be in position right now to play for another national championship so easily. It's unbelievable. When you talk about even the LSU game, I think LSU is a great football team. But when you look at the LSU game, if Tua unfortunately doesn't fumble going in on that opening drive, they fumble the ball, and they're probably going to go on in there. If, and there's so many things that could have happened. And then, like you said, the clunker off the goalpost in the Auburn game, just two things right there that could have put them in an undefeated season. They're a good football team, a very good football team. It's going to be an interesting bowl game. It's good for Alabama. I know Saban's going to get those kids up playing the way they should play, and should be a very interesting football game for us all to watch.
Yes, and it's also joining us as well, Jeff Price. You can hear him on the Sports Drive sitting in for all of our shows as well. Did the trifecta of Christmas parades for his first year. How was that, by the way? You had fun, right?
Usually, and I've been in the parades for years now, but I'm usually one driving.
Yeah,
the floats, and stuff. The walking stuff, that's for the birds, But no, it was fun. It was good to go out there and see people, and it's fun to see people go. Oh, listen to you guys.
So what I got from that is you were upset to get some exercise. You were upset. I mean, when you were getting passed by Olaf from the movie Frozen, right there. He was in that suit. He was huge. It was embarrassing. Right there. But, look, Michigan, Alabama. Look, with Mac Jones, it's a different story. Tua's not coming back for the bowl game. If somebody who's like, can he get back?
No.
Zero chance. First off, even if he could, which he can't.
Now, keep in mind, I like Mac Jones. Listen, let me tell you, Mac Jones is a good quarterback.
Go ahead. I was going to say, Coach, taking Alabama to bowl game though is you're playing roulette because you don't know if they're going to really how much they get up for these games, and some of the, like Utah, the team, you could tell the demeanor in some of them, but based on that in this bowl game alone in Orlando, they're a 7.5 point favorite over Michigan. Just based on, even with Mac Jones, I think they would cover that. I think they beat them by at least 2 touchdowns. Michigan's not that great of a football team.
I think you're right. But here's what I do think, and I mentioned a minute ago. I think Saban will put the accelerator down this year during bowl season. We need to go win this football game and win it convincingly. Some of you are going to make position. You're going to get your position for next year by how you participate, how you play in this ball game, and it's going to mean a lot to most of you for the rest of your life. I mean, he's going to play. I really believe that he's going to push them right to the hilt, and well, he should.
And yeah, I mean, if you're looking at this line, I'm going to say it right now, and maybe while I'm riding the high of getting Mike Norvell right last week. But yeah, look, I said Del Rio and also Stoops, so let's not go down that path. But Michigan and Alabama is a situation here where this line's going to move a ton by game time. It's 7.5. I bet by the end. This game is on January 1st, but Coach, I bet by game time this spread will be at 10.5 to 11. I think it's going to move. Jeff, would you agree? I mean, I think this thing's going to bet heavily. Just based, even if they ran a Wildcat, Michigan was not a good football team this year. Look, they had a pivotal game. Michigan could have made a statement against Ohio State, their rival, at home, and they got beat by 30-something points.
Keep in mind, I'm going to get Danny Sheridan on probably next week and or the week after, and we'll talk about these bowl games and what the odds are going to be.
Clearly, you're talking UCF Marshall here. That's obvious. I'm just kidding.
You realize that talking about Alabama and getting up for the bowl game, it's been since 2011 that they haven't been in the championship or in the playoff or whatever you want to call it. And that's when they played Michigan State, Saban's old team there, and they beat them 49-7. But still, and things have changed a lot since then. But I agree with you, Coach. I think that for people that are naysaying and saying, well, Alabama, they're going to say, well, there's nothing to play for. There's a lot to play for. A lot of those kids, they're going to earn NFL opportunities by showing up to this game. The recruiting, there's so much it's involved. And like you were talking about with Florida State earlier, the fact they have a bowl game is huge because it gets those guys more practice time, which is the most important thing. And, yeah, you want to go win the bowl game, but all that extra practice time you get that these other teams don't is tremendous.
That is the big plus, yeah.
Coach, when you look right now as Nick Saban, it was a year where Tua doesn't get hurt, and you could tell it wasn't just he was emotionally distraught about his injury because of the kid he was. And Tua's even come back and said, if I'm a top 10 pick, I'm going pro. If not, he talked about it, but he also did it in a kind way. He left some room there. He didn't diss either side. I personally think, though, him and Saban would tell him the same thing. They would love to have him back, knowing, too, that right now their backup plan would be Mac Jones, which isn't a bad one, but it's not Tua. If you look at his situation, though, Saban's going to be on the side of Tua to make the decision, and he would probably even tell him, look, if you're a top 5 pick, if they're going to take you at this, that's too much money. That you have a good shot. What do you see happening with this situation from a coaching perspective and what's going through right now? Because I think it's easy to say come back another year and get healthy. But if he's a top 5 pick, even a top 3 pick if he's healthy, somebody is going to take that risk and they're going to pay him a ton of money, money that you can never get back with that kind of cash.
Well, what a dilemma. I'll tell you this is. If he is a top 5 pick, I would say yes, go ahead and sign the line immediately and go. I don't think that's going to be the case. It may be, but I've told you guys what we always felt the formula was on injury. 4 surgeries now. 4 surgeries. That's getting a little beyond coincidental happening. So. You got to really think about what would happen if he came back next year. What could happen, and the risk reward is huge. If he came back and had a Heisman year at Alabama, that would be worth every minute. If he comes back and gets hurt again at Alabama, he's blown everything. So he's really got to make some decisions here. But if he's not going to be drafted the first round, you gotta seriously think about coming back another year.
I think and we could go through the hypotheticals because we don't even know where the draft spots are yet. That's one thing. Until the season's over, we're just going through. You don't know where they fit. I've seen mock drafts having them to the L.A. Chargers at number 10. I mean, based on with Phillip Rivers, and it looks like the career might be over at this point. Who knows? I mean, he had a good weekend this week, but or at least a year or two in waiting, kind of thing. You played in L.A. Would that be a good fit for Tua if it was for the Chargers? I mean, I just want to ask, just because you played on that, it's a warmer weather. Could you see him being a Charger, and that being a good fit?
To be honest with you, before I would want to jump out there and say this would be a good fit, and I'd really have to take a look at it. I haven't looked at it in detail enough to make that type decision. I know there are certain teams that would be better for him than others, but I think a lot of that would have to do with coaches. But you'd really want to. That would take a lot of time and a lot of
we don't know where the
work.
spots are yet or who's going to draft. That's the thing is going over the NFL draft, at least know where they sit before the decisions are made. And I'm only bringing that up because I pulled up the first ESPN mock draft and they had 2 at number 10 to LA. That's the only reason I didn't randomly throw that out of the clouds. That's the experts. Right now, Mel Kiper and Tom McSherry are getting paid for something. You're paying $2.99 for their insider, and they threw his name out to the Chargers. So that's the only reason it was brought up.
I know that Tua doesn't want to hear it, and a lot of people don't want to hear it maybe, depending on what fan you are. The later he gets drafted, the better the opportunity. I mean, the better it's going to be for him. It wouldn't be bad for him to sit a year, especially with the injuries and everything, and if he goes this year. Now, if he goes 25 or something like that, he's obviously not going to go, most likely, of course. But it's a better situation the later you get. If he goes to the Dolphins right now, that's a mess. It's still going to be 3 or 4 years down the road before you would make such an impact. And you're hoping that they continue to draft well outside of you because of the pieces they have there. And you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, their offensive line is horrendous. So you get drafted the Bengals, well, you're going to get banged.
But they do get Jonah Williams back, and he worked with them. I mean, that's
well, yeah, but it's going to take more than just that guy. When you look at that, that's when you look at Cincinnati. There's been a lot of hate with like Andy Dalton and them, but that offensive line guys are running right through. You also don't want to put him out there in a bad situation, and you worry that the Dolphins or a team like the Bengals would throw him out there as trying to sell some tickets and trying to build their program as well, just trying to see what they have.
Well, here's what happens. You're right. You see, that's a good point. Very good point. What happens is ownership. They start getting some heat from the media, from the local media and fans. You drafted this guy number one. Now get him in the ball game. I'm canceling my tickets until you put him in the ball game. First thing you know, some owner, you're going to talk to the coach. Why can't we have two in the ball game? And even though you don't want to do it, you start getting, if you don't have control of the situation, you get that heat from up top, and all of a sudden he's in there, contrary to what you know is best for him.
You're right, and what happened this year to Drew Lock and what happened to Baker Mayfield last year was the perfect scenario for the future of these guys getting paid. Think about it. Drew Lock came into a Denver situation where already the expectations were, we stink and who cares? Same thing with Baker last year. Browns were out of the playoff run. He comes in, wins a few games. They still don't make the playoffs, but he's looked at as a savior. And all offseason they're talking about, the hype. They get Odell. Everybody's hugging him. Where a guy like Daniel Jones, who was thrown immediately into it, he actually didn't do terrible as a quarterback, but the team wasn't that good. And they're looking now, and everybody just wants to go, they're 2-10. He's a bum. And you go, no. You watch him play. The guy's making plays. The team's not good enough. But if Daniel Jones was coming in now with Drew Lock and making the same plays for a 2-10 Giants team, we'd go, this guy's pretty good. Look at him play. Look at he's competing. It's all about the timing of when these guys are in. And
Sure.
And I think for Tua, Tua and Joe Burrow and those guys, and probably Herbert too, are all. It depends the team. But all three of them are going, based on how good they were in college, are going to be expected to play immediately. I think.
I think Joe Burrow is my right now just on the surface, and again, I like to dig into these things quite a bit. And wait till after the combine.
You played quarterback in the NFL. You've been there.
I would tell you right now, just based on what I've seen, Joe Burrow would be the number one pick. Okay, if you need a quarterback, he'd be the number one quarterback picked. Now, listen, the kid, the defensive player from Ohio State could be the number one player picked in the draft.
You can't go wrong with him, really.
You're young, you can't go wrong with him. But I really think Burrow would be the first quarterback taken. And look, he's going to play. You're right. That's to the point. Your point. You think there are two or three that are going to play. And I think you're right with him. I mean, somebody's going to look at him jumping in there and playing right now, whoever it is.
We just got a text from Ryan Finley's father saying, "Shame on you if he goes to the Bengals. You think he's going to beat out my son." So I don't know. I don't know. That's going to be a case where, obviously, at this point, yeah, I think the Bengals are the one lock. Whoever goes there, is going to go ahead and start immediately at quarterback. Andy Dalton, thank you for the send-off. This is like some of those concerts that like the sort of the D- bands that do tours in towns, and you're like, they were okay when they were in town. That's sort of Andy Dalton's got like that middle of the pack tour going on right now. It's his final shows, his last hurrah kind of thing.
He's playing for a lot of money.
He is playing, but it's like that their team's done, but he's back in it, and you're like, there's the average guy going out there beating, like yesterday's game. What was it? 21. They got beat by 11 points. There was no offense, but it's like that last final, like, thank you for sort of getting us to the playoffs moment for the fans. Like his send-off tour, like Eli tonight. At least Eli won 2 Super Bowls though, so he's always got that. And I had to sit through with the pain of each one of them. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about we're going to hear from Nick Saban on what he thinks about the game against Jim Harbaugh and the matchup coming up here against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. We'll also break down a little of Alabama's season and go back some of the goods, the pros, and the cons of the overall 2019 campaign. Coach, appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Look forward to
All
it,
right.
Jan.
For Coach K. Stevenson, Jeff Price, and myself, we'll come back for more right here. It's Roll Tide Radio Show, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. When everybody else says no, they say yes. No credit, bad credit. Don't sweat it. You can get in the car of your dreams, and they can afford. You can afford to get into that car with no money down. Gordon Auto Wholesale. Eddie Gordon, proud Alabama Roll Tide Radio sponsor, right here on ESPN Pensacola.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox, just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work. With industry-leading HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll, more companies rely on ADP than any other HR partner to help step up their game. From small business to global enterprise. See how ADP can help you and your people achieve what you're working for at design.adp.com. ADP, always designing for people. It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work. With industry-leading HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll, more companies rely on ADP than any other HR partner to help step up their game. From small business to global enterprise. See how ADP can help you and your people achieve what you're working for at design.adp.com. ADP, always designing for people.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
Every single game, I have been wrong. I have been dead wrong. I have been so wrong.
Top sports stories, the biggest games.
With Houston's lineup and their roster, you know that they're all really dedicated. The chemistry is there, and they're hard to beat.
The weekends are made for sports, so catch Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday from 11 to 1 on Pensacola's home for sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330, FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station, your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back to Roll Tide Radio right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you here alongside Jeff Price, Coach K. Stevenson, the former NFL coach, sitting in and talking a little Alabama football as they get set to go in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, right there against Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. It's a game where, on paper, that sounds like a pretty decent matchup in 2019. Both teams had high hopes. Both teams were ranked in the top 6 in the nation to start. Alabama 1 and Michigan at 6. Both teams have elite players that will play on Sunday. But overall, the expectations were a lot more. And the injury to Tua shook things up. The loss to LSU. And even looking back now, and even with Mac Jones, knowing that if you win that game in the Iron Bowl, that more than likely you're in. We'd be arguing. There'd be people in Norman arguing right now. But more than likely they would have been in based on the resume and based on just overall. And I'm not talking the wins against top 25. I'm just talking about the way that they beat some teams, the eye test. It would have to be that because they only had one win against top 25 teams. But I think we all know that Alabama was a better football team than Oklahoma. However, not the other teams this year. And LSU proved it with that win. This is what Nick Saban had to say, though, talking about the game, the upcoming matchup today in our press conference right there in Tuscaloosa about the matchup in the Citrus Bowl.
Well, certainly, a privilege and an honor for, our team to be in the Verbose Citrus Bowl. Playing a great team like the University of Michigan with great tradition, great coach and Jim Harbaugh. And, this is something that a challenge that we certainly look forward to. And, our team has been a little disappointed in the way we finished the season. So this is an opportunity for us to, sort of show who we are and try to get back to playing to the Bama standard.
All right, with that, we'll open it to questions for either Coach or Steve. Members of the call, if you could unmute yourself with *6 before you ask your question. Please identify yourself before you ask as well.
Coach, this is Caleb from 321 Sportscast. What does a game like this mean for your program and your returning athletes?
Well, I think that this is an opportunity for, us to sort of try to reestablish the standard that, we want to play to. And I think when you play against a great opponent, that's certainly enhances, that opportunity. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of players on our team to have time to practice and prepare for the future. And, that's certainly what we're focused on right now is the future. So this is an outstanding opportunity, for them.
Coach, this is Cecil Hurt from Tuscaloosa News.
Yeah.
This is the first time that you've not been in a playoff, obviously, in the last 5 years. And do you have any indication, or will you address your team in any way about guys who may be looking at their draft future and are undecided about participating?
Well, I'm sure that, guys are going to make individual decisions, based on, their circumstance and their situation. And what we want to focus on is, the guys who, want to look to the future and, look to trying to improve themselves as players and improve our team and getting back to the standard that we want to play to. So, this has been something that has been a bit of an issue in the past, with other programs and other teams. We haven't experienced it for a while, but we'll see what happens, with this group.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, this is Matt Zemitz from AL.com. Just as a follow-up to that, do you have any early feel at this point for whether you guys are going to have anybody sit out, and have you started having those conversations with anybody yet?
Well, I just answered that question. So, we will have, those conversations, and we'll let you know if any of those decisions are, eminent to the players that we have on our team.
Nick, this is Mike Rodak from AL.com as well. You had mentioned a couple weeks ago that you were reevaluating your opinion on bowl games and the future of bowl games as it relates to the playoff. Where do you stand as far as the importance of these games now in the playoff era?
Well, this is a very important game to us because it's the next game that we play. It's a good opponent. It's a great, bowl venue that we're excited to be, a part of. I just think, some of the questions that I just got about, players playing in the game because they're not in the playoffs is probably what I was alluding to in terms of the players' view of how important it is to, play in the playoff and have an opportunity and look at this as an opportunity to enhance their future by playing really well and maybe improving their draft status. And, that's what we'll emphasize to our older players on our team, and they'll all have a choice to make. So, but when you have guys that don't play in bowl games and they do play in the playoffs, that in itself tells you the view of the players in terms of how they look at the bowl game, because we have made everything about the playoffs in college football.
Coach Alan Slaughter-Zinsky, 321 Sportscast. For a program like Alabama,
that expects to play for a national championship every year. Do the players that are going to be playing in this game, do they come into a game like this with a chip on their shoulder, with a little extra fire in their belly?
Well, I would hope that would be the case, with something to prove relative to the disappointments that we had in the season. But, I think we've played in 7 championship games in the last 10 years. We won 5 and lost 2. So there is a high standard for the program. And, you're a little disappointed when you're not in that position. And there's been a lot of players that worked hard to establish, that tradition in this program. But, this group had a lot of adversity to overcome. And this is obviously an opportunity to try to get things back on track with the players that we have that are excited about playing in the game. And that's what we're going to focus on as coaches.
Nick, Alex Byington with the Montgomery Advertiser. You talk about the disappointment and what is the message to the player that will participate in this game where they, you can get them up and motivated to play?
Well, I think that, we want to get back to playing to the standard. And I think that, every player should be looking toward the future in terms of trying to get back to that standard and do the things to the level that we want to do them so that we have a chance to be successful in the future. And, this bowl game that we have is the next game that we have. So this is going to be the first opportunity we have to do that.
Hey, Nick, this is Michael Castrone from AL.com. Just wondered about your relationship with Jim Harbaugh and how you describe that.
I have a lot of respect for Jim. I think he's been a great coach and, done a great job at Michigan, did a great job every place he's been prior to that. We have a lot of respect for the University of Michigan, their program, their tradition, and, the job that he's done as a coach. So I don't really know Jim Harbaugh all that well, but I do have a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Coach, hey, this is Cecil Hurt with one follow-up. You were in a somewhat similar situation in 2010, the last time you were in the Citrus Bowl. And did you feel like that game against Michigan State sort of propelled the program into 2011 and 2012?
Well, I certainly think it was the first step in the right direction. I thought the players responded well to that season, which was a bit of a disappointment, for us as well. And, I thought the players played well in that game. They prepared well for the game. Everybody played in the game. And, I think it sort of set the table for what we were going to do the next season.
I want to give Kirby credit because even a day before this game, and I'm sure it happened even before that, he said this is...
And there it was right there, Nick Saban talking a little bit about the Citrus Bowl coming up here against Michigan. It was a game where you could tell, first off, you can't really tell in Nick's voice if they just won by 70 or whether they're playing in the Citrus Bowl. So I do want to make that clear because they could have just won the national title, and the demeanor would have probably been the same. So I'm not going to go that far into it. But, overall, it's going to be one where I think we're going to be pretty excited and pretty much at this point ready to talk about a game where a lot of these guys, a lot of these seniors, and ready to make it happen.
And listen, I have a friend of mine, Dave, it was texting me, and he's listening to the show as he always does, but he was making a thing of, listen, Saban just doesn't sound like he's really into this whole thing. And it goes back to Saban has been in the playoff or played for a chance at the title up until 2011 when I said they played Michigan State. And here's my thing. I think this is more of an opportunity, and if Saban and them don't show up to this football game, because this is still a good opportunity, you're still playing in a great bowl game. It's not like you're, no offense, Florida State fans, you're not like you're playing in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, which, like I said before, that's a real thing, by the way. That's crazy. I heard it's great. But this is more of an opportunity for Harbaugh, because Harbaugh has not beat Ohio State since he's been there. All that Harbaugh has heard is he's not good enough to win the big game. And this is a perfect opportunity for him to take down Saban in this Alabama team, which, yeah, they're not number one or anything like that, but still to beat Saban in a bowl game like this. I just think for Alabama, they better show up because Michigan's gonna show up. Alabama has the better roster. They have a better coaching staff. They have better everything. But this is the perfect game where Michigan has everything to play for, and especially Harbaugh himself, that if they don't show up, this could be ugly for Alabama. And I don't care who plays. Even if Alabama has players that sit out because, it's not the playoffs or whatever, their roster is still better than Michigan's. And this is just a scary game for them. So, Coach K mentioned that he feels that Saban's going to have these guys ready to go. I sure hope so because they're going to have quite a game on their hands.
And disregard the Kirby Smart clip at the end for the record. Just like,
extra.
can we do that? Are we lawyers? Or can we just disregard that from the record? Like that was not evidence.
That didn't happen.
That
That's
did not
fake
happen
news.
there. That was Jeff and I talking, playing the clip, and then the other one just running over, and then almost getting caught in this tangle web that is the headset right here. So disregard some lady talking about Kirby Smart. When we come back, we're going to get to more on Alabama's big game against the Citrus Bowl, Michigan Wolverines, right here on Talk Football. It is Roll Tide Radio, right here, brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesale. When everybody else says no, Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, don't sweat it. Get in the car of your dreams right there at Gordon Auto Wholesale, 2 blocks south of Airport on Old Palafox Street. And get yourself your car of your dreams for less at Gordon Auto Wholesale.
You wanted a toy at the store when you were a kid. Mom said no. You wanted a date as a teenager. The homecoming queen said no. Now, as an adult, you want a car, and all the dealers keep saying no. Finally, there's someone in Pensacola who will say yes. It's Gordon Auto Wholesale on Old Palafox, just 1 block south of Airport Boulevard. Now with a huge selection of third-row SUVs in stock. No credit, bad credit, repos, no problem. Say yes to Gordon Auto Wholesale. Call them at 850-479-9200, 479-9200, and hear yes right now.
When weather hits, the right wiper blades make all the difference. That's when the Michelin Man is on your side, helping you see better and drive safer with new Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. Designed with exclusive SmartFlex technology or frameless beam design, Michelin blades flex to the curve of your windshield, giving you unparalleled, streak-free, long-lasting, all-season performance. So when the going gets tough, be ready with Michelin Premium Wiper Blades. It's a difference you can see. Available at Walmart, Pep Boys, Amazon, and other fine retailers.
It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work. With industry-leading HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll, more companies rely on ADP than any other HR partner to help step up their game. From small business to global enterprise. See how ADP can help you and your people achieve what you're working for at design.adp.com. ADP, always designing for people.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Well, I was thumbing Alabama. Football pads on my back, when a stranger stopped beside me in a crimson Cadillac. He was dressed like a football coach, checkered hat, a suit and tie. Said it's a long walk to T-Town, would you like a ride, son? I sat down in the front seat. He turned on the radio, and there were football classics rolling out of them speakers being announced by Eli Gold. Then I noticed a stranger smoked Chesterfields when he asked me for a light, and I knew there was something strange about this ride. He said, boy, have you ever played in the SEC? Have you beat the Vols and the Georgia Bulldogs? Can you make a War Eagle scream? He says, son, can you run the wishbone and the eye? Well, if you're T-Town bound, let me hear you when you yell, Roll Tide.
Ah, a little Roll Tide right there. It's basketball season, boys. It's basketball. Good old Honey and Oats out there. Look, they've had a bad start to their basketball season right now. But welcome back to the Roll Tide Radio Show right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Let me give you the disclaimer of what right now tickets the Citrus Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Used to party out there, many tailgates back when UCF wasn't winning fake national titles out there in front. We had big games. Jeff wanted to make it clear, by the way, during the break. Jeff Price joining us as well. And Jeff wanted to make it clear, and I'm glad you brought this up, that that UCF is the biggest favorite in bowls right now. They are the biggest favorite at minus 18. It has gone up now, so they are now officially. There's
Jeff
no other
didn't
team.
want to make that clear.
Jeff wanted to make this clear that UCF over Marshall right now at 18 points is the highest spread of any bowl game. So I think that's a St. Pete Bowl that many of us will care about. I want to make that clear. Thank you, Jeff. I didn't want to bring it up. This is Alabama show, but I thank you for making that point there.
No, Jeff, let's make it very clear.
Thank you.
Jeff did not bring that up.
Thank you, Jeff.
Jeff didn't even know who they were playing.
Citrus Bowl. Whether you're looking for seats, here's what it says. Whether you're looking for seats near the 50-yard line, end zone, or upper deck levels, you can find just that with Citrus Bowl tickets you desire. Held at the spacious state-of-the-art Camping World Stadium. I think the way I read state-of-the-art right there was wrong. In Orlando, the venue has been the site for the Citrus Bowl for the majority of its tenure as one of college football's most anticipated annual bowl games. I'm trying to really rev up the Alabama engine here for this game here. I know I'm getting everybody going. Let's get everybody going here. Come on, Hank. Though the contest has gone through the name changes over the years, it is still the game where many people want to go and watch from Auburn, Wisconsin, Georgia, Penn State, South Carolina, Florida, Michigan over the years has drawn so many big names. Reserve your spot today. Have we gotten a ticket price on this? Oh, we do? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, the price is right?
Tickets as low as $78.
I bet you could scalp them for like $15.
For sure.
I mean, nobody the season ticket holders a lot of times get allotments for the bowl games, and I bet you can find some in Tuscaloosa right now. Like if you find the right dad on the right day, be like, here you guys.
Find the right dad on the right day.
That's
seems,
every woman out there is looking for that. That's
the right dad.
Single moms, just answer your question. Answered it right there. It's 7.5 point spread though. When you saw this, about right, the honey pot about right for 7.5 points against Michigan.
No, I don't think so. Well, here's the thing: if Bama doesn't show up to play.
I mean, it could be a pick. I mean,
it could be a pick. It could be, but Bama should still win the football game. Listen, make it very clear, Bama's roster is way better than Michigan's. I don't care what people say. It's just, if Bama shows up, Mac Jones is still a really good quarterback. Well, he's a good quarterback. I don't know if he's really good yet. He did good in the Auburn game, outside of those 2 pick sixes, which are tremendous. But their receiving core is the best in college football. So once again, I will harp on it. All he has to do is just get it to him and let them take care of the rest. So Michigan, as much as they want to talk about, how good their defense was, Ohio State ran right through them like a hot knife through butter. I mean, it's just simple as that. And to me, Bama offensively is just as good when you look at the running back in Najee Harris and your receiving core with Waddle and Smith and all those guys. I mean, it's just – the question here is just simply, does Alabama show up to that game? We know Michigan's going to be hyped for it because, like I said, Harbaugh's got an opportunity to beat Saban, and he has not won in the big games, and that's all he hears is he never beat Urban Meyer. Now he didn't beat Ryan Day, and not only does he lose, he gets just blown out of the stadium. So here's an opportunity for him on a national stage in one of the bigger bowl games outside of the New Year's Six and things like that, even better than some of the New Year's Six bowl games. Sorry, Memphis. But it's an opportunity for them to really showcase what they've done there and show how elite they are. And I don't think Michigan is elite anyway. I just think that, they win the games they're supposed to win, and some of them they don't. And they always choke. I mean, I just don't know. I'm trying to think of a nicer way to say it, but I just don't think this one will be close.
No, I'm looking at it right now. I'm giving somebody a gift right here. You thank me later. But a holiday gift, which is called gambling.
You're not picking the Redskins, are you?
No. This is, and like we said, do what you want with this. But we do not. Whatever you want to do, if you want to go to Biloxi with us, this is not a show. We don't have to have the disclaimer of what you do at Harris or anything like that. But if you want a winner, like Charlie Sheen, here it is: Alabama and Auburn You can tease them down. It's just a two-team teaser. But just take them both in the money line, and it becomes Alabama a pick against Michigan and Auburn a pick against Minnesota. And it'd be, whatever you want to put. $10 to win $10, $100 to win 100, but it's even odds. So you just need Auburn to beat Minnesota in Tampa in a warmer weather place. And you need Alabama to beat Michigan in Orlando, straight up. Both of them are straight up. That's a winner. I mean, Minnesota's not as good of a roster as Auburn. Auburn actually is a legit, remember, Auburn roster-wise, with Derek Brown and the guys up there who just won SEC Defensive Player of the Year up there in front. Like, Auburn, these guys are legit. Their athletes are legit. They have they beat in the Iron Bowl, which is always a rival. And Alabama, nobody in Alabama can say that Alabama doesn't have something to play for that day, because Alabama had really, if they win that game, they're in. I mean, it would be a question, but most of us feel that they would have, with the way Oklahoma had won overtime in a statement against Baylor.
Third string quarterback.
Yeah,
Baylor.
and Utah got knocked out. It would have been between that Oklahoma product versus Alabama, and I think a lot of people would have put Alabama in. So they had a lot to play for. Auburn is a good football team. They lost. They played LSU. Maybe you could say Florida for 3 quarters, but they played against LSU as tough as anybody this year. At LSU, they lost by 3 points. They came back and almost beat Georgia. They had a final drive. They were down early, and then they came back. Auburn beat Oregon, the team that beat Utah across the board.
Easy.
Auburn's a better football team by far than Minnesota, and that's why. And remember, last year when they were a 3-point favorite in a better year, in a worse year. I just ruined everything I've said over the last 15 minutes. Auburn they were up as a 3-point favorite over Purdue, and they were up by 52 points at half.
Yeah, I was at that game.
52 points. I mean,
it was ugly.
Their athletes will just coast by Minnesota's athletes, and it's not a knock on Minnesota as much as Auburn actually has a legit squad, a roster. Minnesota was rowing the boat towards success because of the schedule they played. We all of a sudden jumped on the hype train because they beat an overrated Penn State team at home, and they battled back. That's when they got beat by Wisconsin. Then they got beat by Iowa. Then they got beat by Wisconsin. Look, just make yourself money. And the only way I'll come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," is if Bama doesn't want to show up. Auburn will beat Minnesota. They will. Alabama has those games where if they don't show up, but Alabama should beat Michigan by a couple touchdowns. Look, Alabama, you feel still, I know you do in your hearts, that you're as good of a football team as some of the other big dogs. We just watched Ohio State walk into Michigan in the Big House in a pivotal rivalry matchup and beat them by 30. So you can't just straight up beat Michigan. Come on. I'm just saying on this one, I'm giving you guys a head start. It's a month away, or less than a month away, but it's still a long time away. But Auburn and Bama, straight up. There you go. I've answered people's questions. Congratulations.
I just want to see that Auburn front.
Start off your New Year's right.
Derek Brown and those guys go against rowing the boat. I think Michigan or Minnesota will be rowing the boat the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not a boat anymore. It's like a little plank. So.
Yeah. See, Georgia's a 7-point favorite over Baylor as well, but I'm not touching that because Baylor. We saw what happened last year in Texas with Georgia. Like you could see the offensive output from Georgia. Yeah, Baylor could get excited and get a lead, and then Georgia doesn't want to. I'm not going down that path.
Cager's not going to play in that game anyway.
Auburn and Alabama, 2 teams right there. Just take a money line, put them together, and congratulations starting off the new year right. There you go. You heard it here first. I didn't do any freak kind of breakdown. It just is. It's pretty logical, and it will happen. So that's.
Army-Navy this weekend, by the way. I mean, we haven't said a word about it.
Navy's Army had a couple years. No. Look, listen, Mike. Army had a couple good years in a row, but Navy's a better football team now. Navy's a legit. Yeah. Navy wins this game, I would say, by. It's always a cold. It always seems to snow. I've been on the sidelines for this in Philadelphia. It was probably the biggest honor. Rob Brown and I got to go to the game, and just an awesome weekend overall. It was one of the most fun weekends ever to cover sports. I think it was. And they treated us like royalty at USAA. They put us up in the old Ritz-Carlton downtown, so we got the mints on the pillows and the big beds that you see like Macaulay Culkin as a kid rolling around on his parents' money when he's home alone, and all these things like that.
I'm just picturing you doing that.
I was completely doing that. And then we got to go out a night in my town. One of my best friends came in from New York. We hung out. We stayed out until 3 a.m. We did all the fun parts and enjoyed our time. We did a a night party at somebody's house in like the 50th story, and there was a green glow light going on. That's the only thing I remember about it. But to stick back with football, the game itself is always cold, and it is something that is always seems to be like a low grinding. They both know each other better they practice against each other the style every single day. So who better to know Army than a team like Navy? And same with Air Force and all the military academies. But in this one, I think Navy wins. I don't know if they covered. It's 10 points. I don't.
Yeah, it's
I don't
10.5 is the spread there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than that.
Well, and I say that just because you only get so many chances in this game. There's only going to be so many drives really. But how about this though? Navy averaging over 100 yards a game passing. It's been a while. Just throwing that out there. No, but Army. The thing is though, is these two teams. Navy's really good. They're a good football team. Malcolm Perry's done a really good job. It's just it's not about the football, and in my opinion, it's just the game itself is so iconic. No matter who you are or whoever you root for, we have so many military in this town here. It's just a fun game to watch. This is actually the most anticipated game, in my opinion, for me every year, regardless of the Iron Bowl and Ohio State, Michigan, and all that kind of stuff. I always watch this game.
And somebody said the other day, I want to make this point clear. For as we talk about some of the championship week stuff going on, LSU's notable wins and Ohio State's notable wins, and Ohio State. Before I say this, I think 3 teams are all deserving this year of number 1. It just so happens that somebody has to be 2 and somebody has to be 3, and it's really irrelevant for that because at that point, 2 and 3 are they end up playing each other on neutral sites, so it really doesn't matter. But LSU's notable wins at Alabama, at Texas, versus Georgia in a neutral site game in Atlanta, versus Auburn, and versus Florida. Ohio State's notable wins: Michigan, Wisconsin twice, Penn State, and Cincinnati. So for the people that are saying, the gauntlet of the schedule, I think you can pick which one of those is a better top 5 quality, their biggest wins. And LSU going out there, being undefeated, being the team that won the SEC title, undefeated, and dominating their opponent who was in the top 4, I think that makes a pretty strong case. So for the people, the only thing that Ohio State has working is that they pass the eye test, if you want more. Overall, I think they're more of a complete team. LSU's defense has shown up and proven that. But I think Ohio State, at every position, they have more players that will go to the NFL at each position, all over the field. But LSU's got the quarterback getting it done. And if he plays Ohio State, I wonder what team he'd like to beat the most. We'll see. Coming back for more, it's Roll Tide Radio right here on ESPN Pensacola.
Gordon Auto Wholesale says yes. No credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, no problem. Over 250 vehicles in stock. Third row SUVs and trucks. Everyone's approved. Gordon Auto Wholesale is the bank and can help you get into a nice, clean vehicle. Carfax checked. Need a new car? Gordon Auto says yes. Can't buy one from the other dealers? Come see Gordon Auto Wholesale on Palafox, just 2 blocks south of Airport. Or call 479-9200. That's 479-9200.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
This is Jeff Price with ESPN Pensacola. On behalf of all of us here at ESPN Pensacola, we want to wish the Escambia Gators football team good luck in your state championship game against Miami Central. Go Gators!
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station, your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back to Roll Tide Radio. Final segment right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I'm glad. I'm happy to be here as always, but I'm glad this is going to be the final segment. Just because this is where the detox mode, where more antibiotics and throat lozenges, and then to get back with the sports drive here. So I just hit that, that wall like you saw at the parade, like the Frank the Tank, like the dart in your neck, like there's a dart in your neck, bro, like that's starting to kick in the final seconds here. So we have about 3 minutes, thank God, and I do want to bring it up to all since it's the Alabama. Let me put my Alabama hat on right here. Brittany's like listening right now. She's like, "You're not coming back in this house,
hat.
So you're living outside." Is that what you're saying at LSU house? All right, so here it is. 17 national titles. Let me do it in Alabama. 17 national titles, 27 SEC titles, 131 first-team All-Americans, 70 postseason games. That's a record. 39 postseason victories. That's a record. And the best coach in college football history times 2. Alabama football, bro. How about that? How about that? I make my point right there. How about that? How about that? Right there? 17 national titles. And we got to make it clear. Alex Leatherwood, by the way, was a second team All SEC. I want to bring that up right here from our own backyard, Booker T. Washington. That's right.
Yep.
He was a second team player right there for All SEC. The All SEC team, you had Xavier McKinney, you had Devonta Smith, Anthony Jennings. You had a guy that just went out there and made some plays, and Jedrick Wills, who was a good line up front. He was a big guy. He was, probably their best lineman throughout the year. And then you had Diggs, Trevon Diggs making it as well. So those were the first teamers. Then you had Tua, Najee Harris, Alex Leatherwood, Landon Dickerson, Jerry Jeudy, and Jalen Waddle as second team. Here's the deal, folks, when you say that. Tua, when you hear second team All SEC, remember Joe Burrow is in the SEC, so I want to make that clear.
Pump the brakes.
But let's calm down. I think Jerry Jeudy could have obviously been. They were trying to give a little love to more than just let's insert the entire Alabama wide receiving core into this award. So I want to make that clear as well. Good, congrats to Alex Leatherwood, though.
Yeah, getting to see him play here at Washington, he definitely stood out.
He worked a lot on his footwork. He got a lot better once he got in there. He got bigger, stronger, as you expect. That's one thing with Alabama too. It's no shock with Scott Cochran and the guys out there. I usually do the Scott Cochran voice, but it's hurting. You want me to try it? Right?
No, I don't. I want you to be able to talk on the sports drive today.
All right, I won't do it.
No, but Leatherwood is setting himself up for a really good future in the NFL.
Yeah. All right,
I knew it. I could tell that you were just waiting.
It's a very weak one right there. I was going to. That did hurt. Just continue, please.
No, but Leatherwood's just awesome to see the progression from high school. We get to see him here, and get to see him to go to Bama and through the years and how well he's done. And he, like I said, he's going to set himself up for a really good NFL future because nowadays more than ever, with all these high-paid quarterbacks and all this kind of stuff, and we talk about these mobile quarterbacks as well, offensive linemen, that'll make yourself a pretty good penny right there. So, Alex, remember us when that happens. Maybe not Chad, because Chad was sitting there booing you during the LSU game, but that's fine.
Alabama, who do you think is going to be their new defensive coordinator? That's going to be a big question at this point. I think that door is going to open, and obviously, and I think they are just trust Saban to do the right thing.
Saban has lost so many. It's just a revolving door right there, and that's a part of the thing when you look at the success that Dabo and them have had. It's because he's had that staff with him, and they don't go anywhere. They pay him. We'll see though. Things are going to change.
That's all the time we have for Roll Tide Radio, right here brought to you by Gordon Auto Wholesales. Thanks, Jeff. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and looking forward to seeing you back here. You better be, because
I'm about to say, I see you all day.
Yeah, you need to be back here, because I
see that sweet face.
Obviously, you've never hosted with me. All right, coming back for more right here. It's Roll Tide Radio. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the Paul Feinbaum Show, and looking forward to talking some more with you on the Sports Drive coming up here tonight at 5.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
All them dogs are counting down, about to put the anchor down. Hit him with the flex.
Alabama. It's your show. Go ahead.
You got a damn burn crappy attitude.
Let me talk, Danny. Okay, go.
I really don't know where to go after that.
Don't take those calls.
I could give you my address and phone number if you're ever in this neck of the woods.
In my life, I've never had a phone call like that. That is correct, and welcome to another week. And what an interesting weekend it was. Thanks for being a part of our program, and we are here for the next couple of hours. And man, do we have a lot to talk about. Let's get right to it. Why waste another minute listening to me bloviate? Burrow, Hurts lead an intriguing offensive heavy clash. I guess by now you've probably heard the news that Jalen Hurts taking on Joe Burrow. That game in Atlanta in the semifinal, and the playoffs are off and running. No more quibbling, no more equivocating. We have arrived at the moment that we have talked about for 6 long months. Speaking of arriving, Chariots couldn't have done any better than what happened last night and earlier today in Oxford, Mississippi. He's back. Look at Lane. Lane Train. Looking like he's heading over to Fraternity Row. Big ovation. Lane Kiffin back in the SEC. At Ole Miss. Kissing babies. Looks very comfortable doing that, doesn't he? Meanwhile, it's not the only coach. Mizzou working on a deal to introduce Eli Drinkwitz. Know that name? You will. One of the hot young coaches in the country. Used to work for Gene Chizik and Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Meanwhile, did you have Sam Pittman on your bucket list to be the next Arkansas coach? I'm looking for a show of hands. A lot of going on. The Pittman conversation will certainly be one topic of conversation. They started with Lane Kiffin, Mike Norvell, and worked their way through a number of other names, ended up with the Georgia offensive line coach, known as a great offensive line coach, used to be at Arkansas under Brett Bielema. And maybe some people at Arkansas are trying to regain the glory days, at least of the first half of the Bielema era. The award season has started, and Joe Burrow, he's the AP Offensive Player of the Year. That comes as maybe no surprise. Nor is it a surprise that Derek Brown is the Defensive Player of the Year. Stingley, newcomer, and I think even a fifth grader could have guessed that Orgeron was going to be the SEC Coach of the Year. What's on the Feinbaum Show today? How about Lane Kiffin? He returns. He was on about 6 weeks ago. That went over well. Andy Staples will kick it off. Rainer Saban, no connection to Nick. We'll talk about, he covers Jim Harbaugh, and Gene Chizik knows a little bit about the coaching carousel. He will be with us as well. And man, is it great to be back in the studio. We had a spectacular time in Atlanta, and then we went up to Connecticut. Now we're here, and we've got another trip or two before the end of the week, but we are going to be here more than we're not over the next couple of weeks. So it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It's also beginning to look a lot like the bowl season. But for now, let's get to the phones at 855-242-7285 and start with my old friend in Kentucky, Ron. Ron, always a pleasure to hear from you, my man.
Thank you, Paul. Just wanted to say that I thought your program last Friday, Paul, might have been the most innovative sports program that I've ever watched in your tenure on television, at least. To mix wrestling and humor on one program and have it turned out that good was just amazing to me. And I reckon my question is, who conceived of that on the program?
Not me. So, listen, I give all the credit to the people in the other room headed by Mark Kubiak and Danny Brams. They programmed the show. I offer some counsel. We had a little bit of help on Jeff Foxworthy through a mutual friend of ours who that process started about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and it worked out very well. And Ric Flair was a relationship that we have made. And I'm going to let, you know what, I'm going to let Mark Kubiak answer this because he was in Atlanta. And Mark, I think, don't go anywhere, Ron, but you know, sometimes what we do here every day can be our best entree to what we end up with on a program like this. So, Mark, why don't you explain a little bit more about the backstory of how we ended up with both of those guys?
Well, this is the guy right here. I mean, we started that relationship with Ric Flair
this year. Yeah,
this year.
Him and his family have become friends of the show this year. It's been great.
And they're great. So, you know, accommodating, and, you know, he kind of sits there. And, Paul, you were there. He was scheduled for 2 segments, and, hey, I want to stay for another. Great. All right. So he came on, and Jeff Foxworthy comes in, and Paul, as soon as Jeff Foxworthy walks up to me. I introduce myself. He goes, "Man, I watch you guys every day." He goes, right. I love this show." He was going on and on and on how much he loves the show. Jeff, we love you too, so feel free to call in anytime. But it was great. You know, they brought that energy. They brought just this different feeling to the show on Friday.
The shout-outs continue. I mean, Paul, you shout out Mark. He shouts out me. I'll shout out Keith McConaughey, who's a staffer of ours who helped us establish that relationship with Ric Flair's wife, and then we met his son and then met him.